Welcome back. So I've been wanting to make this particular video for a while, and this video is going to center on why the United States is not just destroying itself from within, or how it is destroying itself from within, but how it will, what will be the death of it. Okay, so we all know the United States to be, at one point, it was a very innovative country. It was a baby country in comparison to all the others, as we know. And that's why it received a lot of envy. If you travel abroad, a lot of people have a lot of disdain for the United States. And I do mean as of like 20, 30 years ago. Its disdain was based on its power and its very laissez-faire care about international relations or its relations with other countries, and always this very not pomp in circumstance as of, or in the way of like a monarchy of like, the European monarchy, but it refined its own style of pomp and circumstance with this posturing and with its so-called standards and ideals and its branding, the way it branded itself, let's just say that, right? And all of that helped to propel it forward. But even with those small things, because part of what made the United States such a superpower, I think, was in the way how it branded itself, and how the way it branded itself led to global influence. That was one of its biggest exports, was its influence, was its ways. It created a certain type of cool that other countries didn't have, because they were older and they were very established and set in their ways. Okay, so now here we are in 2026, and instead of us remaining innovative, like China, like other countries, we have decided to, almost want to say, cannibalize ourselves and go backwards. I don't want to use the R word, even though it's very fitting, but the United States has become retarded, okay? In a scientific way, in the way that it is meant. It means medically or scientifically. And I say that because instead of focusing on new inventions and not having to import them into the country, instead of really being competitive with China and actually stopping the exports as Trump said he would do, how everything would be manufactured here again, and we would build back better, or we would begin to rebuild and reestablish American-based companies. The only thing that we really have built was influence. That's really the only way, the only thing that we really refined in this particular age that we're in, is how we are influencing the world and what we're doing on the internet. Can we name anything outside of maybe Tesla that is really groundbreaking at this particular point? Maybe there's something with all of the maybe growth hormones, or people who don't want to pass away, and finding different scientific methods to keep them on the planet, or maybe stop them from aging. That's always been, actually, that's been going on since the last 20, 30 years. People have tried to find ways so their chronological age or biological age would not continue going further. But so that's been minimal. But we have China making robots that are doing that are actually in the police force now. They have robots that can do karate, that can go up to people, that can actually dance. This is what China is doing. But we're on the internet, and our biggest export now is grifting. Instead of people wanting to be engineers, and there's a lot of people who are actually, it's in their birth chart to be in science. And I don't want to get too woo-woo, but when I did start this channel did encompass a lot of that side of, not mythology, but the occult, if you will, we could say that. And there are people out there who are meant for certain paths in their life, but instead of pursuing those paths, they actually act a fool on the internet, right? So here we are in the age of the grift. We're in the grift era, because instead of coming up with an invention, instead of creating a new business, people would rather take a shot at having their voice being heard, which also says something, that everyone wants to podcast, which in another way, on a subconscious level, means everyone wants to be heard. So that just adds to the social crisis that we're having in this country. That we can get into the incels. That's a whole nother video. But I do think the fact that everyone having a podcast or wanting to be an influencer, quote unquote, says a lot about how people feel internally. And also maybe the mental health crisis in this country that is still left unchecked. Okay, so here we are with too many influencers, not enough scientists, not enough new ways of doing things. Our society is so ignorant and so debilitated psychologically that we have reverted to making money off of calling people off of bothering other races or off of harassing races. And all you have to do is say you're going to harass a race and start a GoFundMe. Maybe I ought to try that. Okay, I'll have the link down below just to see if it works for me too. Okay, so this is the way that the American public has decided to use its power, its influence, and its greatness and grifting. And when I say grift, because I believe that we do have, the United States does have some of the best grifters that the planet will ever see. They have built empires off of grifting. Things over the last 6 months have happened to grifters that we never imagined could ever happen to a grifter, right? But as far as the grift, at some point, the grift becomes real, and it's no longer just something that you say, but it becomes you. The grift becomes you. I ought to do a series on that, when the grift becomes you, right? When I started my channel, it was really just a way for me to discuss a lot of things that I was seeing around the world, because at that point in time, globalization was the word that was hot. You don't even hear that word anymore, really, globalization. But I was able to see it with my own eyes, how certain parts of the world was starting to look like other parts of the world. Certain parts of the world were starting to dress like other parts of the world that really had no real connection or no real camaraderie. So it was really interesting. And I don't mean just Westerners appropriating other cultures or anything like that. And you started to see other like just construction in other countries starting to look like cities in the Midwest. It was really interesting. And so I just wanted to document a lot of that sort of thing. And I wanted to still have a foothold in the United States as far as what was going on politically, especially because I did love international politics, especially European politics. So I started my channel for that reason, and so it wasn't much of a grift. But nowadays, We have people who take up what you can say an arms of sorts to against other people controversially to make money. And I get it. And I will have to make another video regarding how the grift becomes so real because it pays, it feeds. You know, the grift is so powerful. It feeds, it houses, it homes, and in some cases it rehomes. And I think we should no longer be surprised at why people choose the grift instead of actually going out into society and creating or being better scientists. If I can make $1 million by calling people the N-word or Jewish people this word or that word, then I guess that's the easiest way. But at the same time, what happens to your environment? What happens to evolution? Because we all understand that how we got to where we are right now in the present time is due to evolution, is due to a lot of accomplishments and a lot of contributions, micro contributions that all compounded, right? Medically, scientifically, socially, that all led us to this point. And I understand that a lot of people don't see that because a lot of people didn't live through that, live through those time periods. But there's been a lot of positive contributions that have happened in the United States to propel it, that got it to, I want to say, to where it was, minus the last 5 years. And so now, with our inability to be innovative in our desire to remain consumers, we are losing that. We're losing our ability to progress, to create, and we don't realize how important that is. We're so retarded as a nation that we're questioning our gender as to where other countries don't do that. Other countries aren't talking about masculinity and femininity and, oh, if you were just more masculine and more feminine. And they don't understand how this works. There are courses teaching people how to be more masculine or more alpha. You can't teach that. That's something that you're born with. That's something that's innate in the animal, okay? And we are animals, that we don't have to even discuss that, but that's who we are. And that's something that's very innate in animals. And the strange thing of it is that you have people who feel like they can, who are being bought into who have bought into the idea that you can teach how to be alpha or being alpha, or you can teach being feminine, as to where other countries just know it. There's no femininity course offered. There may be a fashion course of how to style you from where you are, how to style your particular body, your particular height, whatever. But there's nothing that's going to teach you how to be more female if you're born that way, how to be more feminine if you already are that. There aren't women thinking that they're not feminine. There are women who have hair like mine who know that they're feminine. We don't question our femininity. It's odd. But this is where the United States is. The United States is questioning things that don't need to be questioned. And that's how retarded it has become. It's going backwards in things. It's like questioning, is 1 + 1 2? This is where the nation is questioning. It's going back on old things, that old goals, is destroying old goals, old accomplishments. Why can't I call you the N-word? Why can't I do this? Why can't I burn your house down? Why can't I kill you? Why can't I do this? Why can't I harm you? Well, now we have the predator acting as if they are the prey. We have the predator who has their GoFundMe. The predator wants support now, and we're cheering on the predator and leaving the prey and asking the prey, well, why didn't you do this? Or, I can't believe you're the actual victim. I can't believe you're the actual prey. This is how started this country has gotten, and it's going to pay for that. All of this is, you're going to pay for it. You're really going to pay for it, really. And what I mean by you're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it in lost inventions. Other countries are going to surpass this country, as they already are. The debt is going to deepen. And I don't mean the GDP debt or the debt to China, but socially the debt is deepening. There is a social debt that can't be paid at this point. The mental health crisis that nobody wants to talk about, the financial crisis that is happening, that nobody wants to talk, or that people do talk about, the way to get money in all of these odd, unique ways now that people can't really catch up with. People have been bred to think that you make your money by attending university and having this skill in this trade. Well, we are in the modern world, and I do understand that, and everything evolves, and so now we have all of these new ways that you can make money, including the grift, and but yet people have not caught on to that yet. It's going to take another 5 years maybe for people to really catch up on the grift, because and then so everyone can have a grift, right? Because we do have those old school grifts as well with the lawsuits. That was the original grift. I'm going to sue you because my coffee was too hot. I'm going to sue you because you stepped on my foot. I'm going to sue you. That grift, that was one of the original grifts, but now the grifts are more on ideology. It's an ideological grift. And that's one of the best grifts ever, because it puts people in a particular type of trick bag for a long period of time. And you never know. It's one of the most dangerous grifts, though, because you have to become that which you're grifting. That's the thing. So if you don't believe in it, you're gonna be screwed. If you don't believe the grift, you're gonna be screwed. But what I will say is that even though we have the grifts, and even though we have I don't say the economy is failing. I wouldn't say that, because so many people have money, and so many people are spending their money in so many different ways, right? So it appears that there's no money, but there's money, right? People are tipping their favorite influencers. People are donating to their favorite influencers. So there's money. There's money to be spent, obviously. There are. I would just say that the one thing that I do see that is really hurting the American brand is its lack of innovation. We're innovative in the wrong ways. We are moving forward by moving backwards, if you understand what that means. We're moving forward, but moving backwards. And I think that we're getting to a point where there's so much damage that has been done that is going to be irrevocable. We can only police where we're getting at this point. There's no way to really fix what is constantly being broken, and especially when you have people in society championing the breaking, the destruction. You have people who are supporting the destruction because they feel broken themselves. So leave your comments down below, comments, ideas, and thoughts on this video. I'll see you next time.